Give me a heads up. Yo, yo, yo. Loud and clear. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to put this on my little, on this cam right here, and you can see what I'm doing. Basically what I'm going to be doing is just working with my looper pedal right now for just a few minutes while you guys prepare and everybody refreshes and all that good stuff. And I'm just going to be noodling here with some bits and pieces here, and then we're going to go into the show. Okay, here we go, my friends. My friends, so it sounds like we are rocking and rolling. I have no idea what in heaven's name happened there, but it happens every now and then because we're live, and right now I'm a one-man show at the moment. So here we go. All right, my friends, welcome to January, February, March, April. But I think this is actually our March show. Yes, I know it's our March show because it says it right here. It's our March show, right? My friends, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited. We have 71 people in the room, so we just had a big broadcast. We got some new people in here, so I don't know if you joined us, but a few weeks ago. So welcome all the new folks here. In fact, I'm gonna just kind of scan through the list now. I see some new names: Tom, Marty, Jay Fott, Roger, Wendell Stein, I think it is, L.R. Roop, Jim May, Sarah Evans, Carl. I won't run through them all, but I'm seeing a lot of new friends. So very, very cool. If you aren't already signed in via Twitter or Facebook or something like that, do that, and then I can address you by name. Okay? Cool. All right, it's the looper is not bassy, it's the guitar that's bassy. I've been messing with all my equipment here, and somewhere along the line here, I probably bumped a knob or something like that. So yeah, and it is definitely distorted. It's made to be distorted. It's basically what I've got going on here is just a little bit of growl there. So indeed. Now I may be distorting that a little bit on your speakers. All right, here we go, my friends. Now, this is how it works. If you've never joined us for one of these live broadcasts, basically for an hour-ish here, I'm going to answer your questions in real time, and I'm going to start with the questions that are within the Unstoppable Guitar System where folks like pre-asked a few days ago. Okay, so that's where I like to start. And then I'm going to get to the questions from you directly in real time here within the chat. Cool? All right, excellent. So I'm going to start doing that. So if you're wondering where these questions are coming from, they're coming from inside the Unstoppable Guitar System. And I'm going to get them in the order that they were put. So the very first question that was put in there 8 days ago, I'm going to start there, okay? So Michael C. is saying it appears that when you play a scale across several strings that you do not, and I don't know if he means me, you, or if he means you, anybody, that you do not use the curled knuckle technique as you're teaching for fretting chords. He's probably meaning me. Until I saw that, I had trouble reaching the C and D second finger to fourth. Thank you for your valuable lessons. I watch you every day and practice a lot. We've got a lot of questions today, folks, so I'm going to make sure that I get everybody answered. So if I'm short and I don't answer it fully, you let me know, okay? But I will be as succinct as possible. You know me, I like to be succinct, but I like to be complete as well, okay? So Michael C., yeah, so here it is. You'll see guitar players who've been playing for a while not curling that knuckle. Why? Well, because it's the same thing as when you see somebody who's, really any expert or somebody who's not just a beginner, but somebody who's more advanced, you will see them use techniques that maybe are unorthodox. Why is that? I thought you said curl your knuckle, Eric, every time. Well, I did say that in the beginning, and the reason I say that in the beginning is it's the kiss of death if you don't do that. So you really want to learn the rules at first. Even Mozart said that. He said, learn all the rules and then forget about them. And what that means is if you don't learn the rules, you don't deserve to break the rules. Okay, you got to learn the rules. You got to learn the correct way to do it before you can break those rules. So you're going to see that from time to time. But when I'm teaching a beginner, I would never ever tell them don't curl your knuckle, because that's the whole problem, is everybody wants to flatten their finger out, right? So as you've been playing for a while, it almost feels a little bit unnatural to do that, and so, but sometimes it's helpful for certain techniques. So yes, Michael, that may be the case. Now, when I'm playing a scale, I am curling all my knuckles, you know? See here. Yeah, I definitely am doing that. I'm curling my knuckles, but there may be a specific video that you're talking about that maybe you saw that, you know? Okay, Sean Brennan is saying, I just can't seem to perfect the F chord. Been practicing for 6 months and I still can't master it. Any tips would be greatly appreciated. Sean, yes, indeed. Here's the deal. Number one, watch I believe it's titled something about the F chord within the Unstoppable Guitar System, also bar chords. Both of those within the system will break it down to 2 notes, 3 notes, 4 notes, 5 notes. Here's the deal, Sean, and I'm going to say this one in a nutshell just because really the crux of the matter is going to be in those videos, okay? But here's the deal. I teach how to play a 6-note bar chord by playing 2 notes at a time, all the way across the fretboard, and then 3 notes at a time, all the way across the fretboard, and then 4 notes, and then 5 notes, and then finally the 6 notes chord. Why do I do that? Because I want you mentally to be able to see, okay, here's where the problem is. See, what happens is people go to the gym and they lift way too much weight, and they're like, I'm not strong, I shouldn't be at the gym. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Yes, that's why you should be at the gym, is because you're not strong, right? And you don't start with a lot of weights, you start with a little weight. And then if you want, you can start increasing that weight to figure out where you're at, where your break point is. Same thing is when I'm doing these 2, 3, 4 note, 5 note chords. What I'm trying to do is to teach you, number one, the techniques specifically so you can be very focused, but then also to know where it is that you're messing up. The other thing, Sean, I would really urge you to do is hyper-focus, okay? What that means is when you sit down to play guitar, don't get distracted with other things. If you have to write bar chords super big on a piece of paper and stare at it while you're practicing bar chords so you don't go play Iron Man or some other song, then do that. But the whole point is focus, because there's different kinds of practice. I talk about this inside the system. I won't go down that rabbit trail, but there's hyper-focus type of practice, what we call woodshedding, and then there's dress rehearsal, which is like you either know it or you don't. Now you're just polishing it, okay? But that real deep hyper-focus is when you really get to those new levels of playing. But it takes hyper-focus, and it takes sitting down and really concentrating on something and sitting with it for a while. So not just 5 minutes a day. Probably not going to get very good at bar chords doing that. But if you sit down for an hour or 2, then you're going to start getting it, because what's going to happen is you're like, I don't get it. I tried this. I didn't try that. Oh, look, that works. Okay? Think of Edison, even though he didn't invent the light bulb, Tesla did. But let's just imagine Edison invented the light bulb, right? He tried like 100 different filaments. Tesla did. But nonetheless, you got what I'm saying, all right? Sorry, I got to give credit where credit is due, and my understanding is Tesla was Edison's crony and made him do all the work. Okay, what is the best way to get an evaluation of my skill level so I know where to start practicing and on what to practice? Great question. Don, other guitar players would be great, but here's the deal. It's all subjective. So one guy's beginner is another guy's advanced. So it's helpful, but it's like saying brown is a better color than green, or I don't know, that's a terrible analogy, but nonetheless, you really don't know where one is at. There's not like a book that says, hey, if you're advanced, you should know these things. If you're a beginner, you should know these things. It's not like that. I wouldn't even worry about that, to be straight honest with you, Don. What I would worry now, being concerned with what you should practice, yes, that is good. If you've gone through everybody who's listening here, if you've gone through each video within the beginner section, I would recommend that for any guitar player in the history of time, on the face of the earth, in the universe, everywhere. Just go through the beginner section. Once you go through the beginner section, then you can start going, man, okay, I really feel good about my fingers. I really want to start learning music theory now, and then go through the music theory stuff. Or say, man, I really want to get down to finger picking, and then you focus on finger picking. Then you can do whatever you want. But once you get past the beginner section, it's like, what do you want to do, Don? And that's your answer. You want to do what it is that you want to do. So practice that. You're not going to mess anything up. Okay? It really has to do with desire, and that desire keeps you going, keeps you moving, okay? Can you show us the body and neck of the new guitar? You're probably meaning the little sister, is what I'm guessing. And Don, I did a review for this, so you may want to check that out on YouTube. Just type in YourGuitarSage B and G, or little sister. You could do one of those two. Okay, and by the way, if I don't answer your question totally, you let me know in the chat after we're done here, okay? After I get through a few more of these. Thanks for the great lessons, Eric. Having a ton of fun playing and learning through the system. Throughout all your videos, you focus a lot on repetition, and that essentially practice makes perfect, right? Or perfect practice makes perfect. That's my expression. I didn't invent that, but that's what musicians say, right? That know that. Because you can practice the wrong thing and you're going to be perfectly good at doing something wrong, right? Seriously, if you practice something, it creates neural paths within your brain, and whatever it is that you practice is what you're going to be good at. So if you practice bad habits, you're going to be great at bad habits. So, perfect practice makes perfect. What is your recommendation on when to move on from one skill, say chord transition, to say another, chord noodling? I totally get working to master one thing at a time, but how do you balance this to keep things new and interesting? Great question, DB's well. Great question. And I get this and other similar questions very often. I mean, the one we just had just a minute ago was like, how do I know? How do I know? Let me, number one, relieve you and let me set you free tonight, the 70-something people that are live right now. What do we got? 72 people. Let me set you free right now. Seriously. This is art. It's fun. Okay? Think of it like you got sidewalk chalk, as I was just doing with my kid outside. You got sidewalk chalk. You wouldn't hold that sidewalk chalk and go, oh, can I use yellow? I don't know. There's blue in the box. Can I use I don't know what color to use. Use whatever color you want. Seriously, this is art. You wouldn't say, I don't know if should I draw a square or a circle or a planet or whatever, draw some letters. You wouldn't ask that of yourself, right? You just do it as a kid. I want you to think like you're a kid. And on the guitar, you should be having fun. If you're not having fun, you're probably not going to stay with it for very long. So you want it to always be fun. So with that being said, you can jump around as much as you want. Where I would say you may want to focus is if, let's say, in the last question, or a question or two ago was about the bar chord. So this person was really wanting to learn bar chords, but wasn't seeing any forward momentum. In that case, I would say, look, focus on this. This is really what you want to do, is you want to get these bar chords down or finger picking or whatever it is. Then focus on that for some time until you start getting it, okay? Guitar's like anything else, but it seems to be even more mysterious where it's almost like it comes through the back door of us. We're playing and all of a sudden through the back door we learned something. We're like, well, how did that happen? Well, it happened because of repetition, because you're playing things over and over again, right? Just like DB's whale said here, repetition. So it's very, very important that you have fun. So jump around. That's what I always say, jump around in the course. But where you don't want to jump around is when you're doing things sequentially. So like, for instance, if you're learning how to build chords, you don't want to jump to the 13th video if you haven't watched the 1st through the 12th video, because it's learning a specific task. Or same thing with finger picking. You wouldn't want to jump around in the finger picking series per se unless you've got the basics down first. And typically you want to take a series and then move forward like that. But you can jump around to the different techniques, different theory and stuff like that, as long as it's not a series. Does that make sense? So, have fun with this. Jump around. If you want to jump from chord transitioning to chord noodling, there's nothing wrong with that. I used to break up my practices into like 7 or 8 things during the day for maybe a half hour a piece. For my short 4-hour day and my 8-hour day, I would do other stuff or just do longer practices, but I might do half hour of scales, half hour warm up, half hour chords, half hour of ear training, this, that, and the other thing. Now that was fine, that was good because I was well-rounded, but to be honest with you, what I should have done, I feel like, and the way that I teach my students now, is polish the things that you want to get good at, right? But don't work on anything you don't want to get good at unless you need to be a well-rounded player, But if you don't like doing it, don't do it. If you don't like jazz, don't practice jazz. But one of my suggestions to myself would have been to practice more songs, because bottom line, no one cares how many chords you know. They really honestly don't care. One guitar player may be a little bit impressed if you know 1,000 chords, just because he doesn't know any better, she didn't know any better. But really, ultimately, no one cares how many chords you play. No one cares how many scales you can play, and they don't even care how fast you can play these scales. What they want to hear is they want to hear beautiful music, bottom line. That's what they want to hear. So just remember that always. It's always about music. If you're not making good music, you're not winning, okay? You got to make good music, and that's your goal. Okay, Nathaniel G is saying, thanks for your course on motivation. I'm currently halfway of your immediate course. I've been practicing a lot of techniques, exercises, scales, chords, both with electric and acoustic guitars, but I have not started to work on a song library. Can you recommend songs to begin working with? I personally like 50s, 60s, 80s. I don't want to begin working on songs that are difficult for my current skill level. And have to give up. Maybe that's why I haven't committed to songs yet. Thanks. Nathaniel, yes, go to my YouTube channel. Any of those songs. It's 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, rock. I mean, that's my thing. I love that. Blues and some country. So start there. And what I would suggest to folks is if you like specifically the way that I teach, then type in Your Guitar Sage and then the artist name that you're looking for. If it's a famous artist, chances are I've taught a song by them because I've got like 1,000-ish songs on YouTube. So if you're looking for Elvis, type in Your Guitar Sage Elvis, or Your Guitar Sage Clash, or Your Guitar Sage Ozzy, or Your Guitar Sage whoever, David Nail, whoever it is. And those are the songs to practice. Why? Because number one, I make them super easy, and number two, they're usually like hits, or there's something about the song that's super infectious, which is why I taught the song. So I don't teach songs that I think are boring. I'm sure I have, but a song or two. But usually, I'm not teaching a song unless I really like it. Cool? Good. All right, we're rocking along here. I'm just jumping over to the chat real quick just to make sure there's... Okay, just making sure that you guys can still hear me and all the rest. Okay, DC Rock is saying, hello, Eric. First of all, congrats on the amazing content you've put together here. Thank you so much, DC Rock. I appreciate it. It's taken some years, and with my team, with Jason and Chris and Athena and my whole team, it's been great. So thank you so much. I've actually had a lot more on the team, but that's the current team lineup. And Henson and John, and I got 6 or so folks that are the team. So thank you. I'm having a lot of fun going through the lessons and seeing the evolution. Slow, I know. It's only the beginning, and it's always slow. It was for Hendrix. It was for Eddie Van Halen. It was for everyone. Okay? Promise you. No one gets a free ride. That's a good thing to know. Okay? The thing I wanted to ask, though, I think it boggles the mind of many people who, like myself, have just started nibbling through the first few scales, major and pentatonic. Okay, let's say you've memorized the patterns on the neck. You know where the notes are at. Notes are on the pentatonic scale up and down the neck. How's the best way to approach starting to put those notes to work for your advantage on a song? I've tried improvising over jam tracks, slow A minor blues tracks, for example, which, by the way, if you guys don't know, in the resources section of the website, we have nearly 600 jam tracks that you cannot find anywhere else. They're our own jam tracks that we've put together, and they're there for you. And there's lots of blues, there's A minor, there's all different keys. So make sure you check that out. I've tried improvising over jam tracks, but it is very hard to come up with anything other than going up and down the scale. Exactly. So here's the deal, and I heard one guitar player talk about, hold on, there's more, and I'll address that. One other question, but related is, okay, so now you've learned a small phrase or solo from a nice song. How do you find out which scale was the musician playing when he wrote it? I'll cover that one too. The reasoning for asking is that if you only read internet tablatures, you may mimic the songs, but it'll be like learning choreography for your fingers on the fretboard instead of knowing what it is you're actually playing. I'll answer that one really quickly because that's an easy one. As you start learning more, you're going to know where you're at on the fretboard. Okay, just because the patterns are going to be there. It's going to be pentatonic or it's going to be blues, which are fairly the same with the exception of one note, or a couple other patterns that you're going to see. So the more you get to know your scales, and then you're going to see, and then obviously knowing what key you're in is going to help a lot too. So that's just more knowledge of the fretboard. That's all that is. You'll get that. Okay, that happens through osmosis. Lastly, could you also include GMT time on the emails you send about those live videos? Some people, myself, are not in the U.S. and it's easier to relate to GMT time worldwide. I will denote that, my friend. If GMT is Brazil time, then obviously I'd have to put 24 different time zones in. But if you're talking GMT is some sort of like universal time that everybody knows, then yes, we will definitely consider that. But if that's your time zone, we probably won't because we got people from the whole world looking at this, and that would be goofy, right? If we sent out 24 different time zones. So it's one of those things. I know there's a calculator online. You can just say time zone calculator and you can figure it out. But if it is, we definitely will take that into consideration. And then I thank you as well for that. So from Brazil, awesome, love it. Never been to Brazil, want to go there. Some of the happiest people there, they say. There you go. All right, so let's talk about, okay, so we covered the last two. So let's talk about this first one here. Good news for you, my friend, DC Rock, is that I have all of these videos already in the system. Write this down or look at the marker right now in the video so that you come back and look at this and you can get the information here I'm going to tell you. There's two sections I want you to look at. The first one is called Minimalistic Blues. I think it's in the advanced section under blues. Minimalistic, meaning minimal, right? Minimalistic blues, number one. The other one is call and response. Minimalistic blues, the way I teach this is that basically you take one section of the neck. For instance, if we had this little jam track going, right? We had this. And I'm going to turn that down a little bit, actually. I think some of you were saying it was distorting. So, like what minimalistic blues would say is like, just take a few notes here, like. So I'm just saying little things, you know? That's all blues is anyhow. That's all playing is. It's just, that's 4 frets. But what's happening is, I'm speaking intelligently with not a lot of words. Think about this. Think of it, an infant saying, poo-poo. My kid right now is potty training. When he says poo-poo, I'm not in my head going, now do you mean you need to take a poo-poo, or you need to make poo-poo, or you want to draw poo-poo? Yeah, I'm like, the kid needs to poop, get him on the potty, right? So we don't need a lot of words to say what it is that we want. You know, go to a different country, you learn credit card and bathroom and assistance or whatever, help please, whatever. And you learn just basics and that's what people do when they come to the U.S. too, right? So same thing. What you want to do is you want to learn to phrase. So remember that, okay? Remember what I just mentioned to you about going to a different country. You want to learn to phrase. That's the most important thing, is learning the real specific little things, and just a few of them. And that's what I teach in the minimalistic blues part. Now in the call and response part, I'll play a riff. I'll be like, and then you'll try to follow it. And if you get it wrong, you might go, whatever. But it's still a phrase and it still works, okay? So don't worry about that. That develops over time. So it's kind of like if I sat with you and I said uno, and you said uno. I said uno, uno, and you're trying to get it right, and that's call and response. Dos, 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 you know, until you get it right, and then we'd move on to the next word. And that's kind of what call and response is. A little bit more complicated than that, but essentially that's what you want to do. So minimalistic blues and call and response. Make sure you check both those out, because those are both very important. That will get you there, okay? That's the way to do it. It's the easiest way to do it, and the smartest way and the quickest way. Hey, Eric, Marty's saying, hey, Eric, there are songs I try to work on, but at my age, 65, which is young, number one, they are way too fast for me. BPM 124 to 132, and although I can play them, it is not at that speed. Totally fine. I do this all the time. I've been playing for 30-something years, and there's songs that are too fast for me, especially when I'm doing a lot of teaching and not as much practicing. It happens. So I always look for cover songs that put a twist on the original, especially those played at a slower speed, and that seems to work. Great. I'm still learning, so every time I learn something like power chords and bar chords, I try to find songs with those to practice, those in them to practice. This works for me since I am retired and have nothing but time. Great. I love that, Marty. Dig in then, my friend. The other thing is this. I love practicing songs slow, especially solos, because I can really, especially like some classic solo. You're going to see one go up here shortly on my social feed where I'm playing Stairway to Heaven, but it's in a reggae style. So it's the solo, but I'm playing it nice and slow. I love doing that because it's the difference between, I was going to say something naughty, but it's the difference between, say, making love and something else. You're appreciating, okay? You're appreciating. So I like to slow songs down. I like to slow them way down and like to really get and to know every little part of that song, okay? Especially solos and stuff. So that's great that you're slowing things down. That's just going to give you more detail. And then what happens is when you speed it up, you'll have the details there, okay? Very, very important. Very good. Finally, understand the capo. I was reading too much into it. Thanks for the lesson. You're so welcome, Roy. And my friends, that happens all the time. I get this all the time, folks. Folks are like, now if I'm understanding you right, this and this and this, but that just sounds too easy. Maybe I just had this yesterday. Somebody mentioned this. They're like, if I'm getting this right, this is how to work the capo with the number system or something like that. And they're like, but I don't know if that's right. It sounds too simple. And I'm like, you got it. it's because it is, you know. Okay, good. All right, so now, my friends, now I'm over on the chat. So if you want to start letting those questions fly, then do it. And I'm going to go all the way to the beginning, and I'm going to start looking here. Tom at 718. Hopefully it won't jump away here on me. I struggle with the B minor. I've been seeing four finger and recently a G major made into a B minor with reference to Ed Sheeran. Do you suggest just close enough to do it the right way? I couldn't read the rest of it. Okay. B minor is B minor. You got to learn B minor. You got to learn the bar chord. You'll get it. Okay, watch my bar chord bits, but you got to learn it. There's no way around a B minor chord. There's just not. I get that question a lot. There's not. Okay. Great. What to do when I really don't want to practice, but know I should? Don't practice if you don't want to practice. You know, go do what it is that you want to do. However, if you're looking for inspiration, find some inspiration. That's what I do all the time. A new pedal, a new guitar, a new artist, a new solo, a new song, those sorts of things. Very important. It's important that you're inspired, you know. Any recommendations for finger picking exercises? Yes, G. Look in the finger picking section of the website. I have like a bunch of them there in order, specific order for you, okay? Okay, great. I've been going through the beginner's course and the UGS during the last live stream. My question is that I can go through the strumming patterns and I can do them with the strings muted and then just with one chord, but as soon as I try to plug into a song, I lose it. Do you recommend any of the beginner songs for the strumming challenge? Yes, I do. I've been practicing 2 to 3 hours a day and love it. Feel good with a lot of other basics. Any further tips? John, yes, slow things down. Bottom line, if you can't do it fast, you can do it slow. And that's all. I mean, it's just like this. My kid can only do so much reading right now. In fact, he can do no reading right now. Is it because he's dumb? No, he's 2.5. Can't do it. You know? He's walking and he's doing other things, but it's like you learn when you learn. And the more you practice, the better you're going to get. But bottom line, you're going to get it. It's just a matter of when you're practicing to the song, it's too fast, so slow it down, okay? 100%. And just know that. I'm not saying that's not a pep talk. It's just truth. It's just you learn things slow, and then you can speed them up, okay? Good. Tom saying, dude, ever since focusing and following on the many webcasts of yours, I've had geez, I missed it. Okay, you know what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm all the way at the back of the chat here. I'm going to go in a little bit here because if not, I'm constantly chasing the end of that chat and it goes away. So I apologize. If I missed yours, I'm going to start at 7:30 here, Tom. And if you did one earlier than that, then please repeat it. Bakersburg, he was losing me until he said poo-poo. I like to throw some stuff in there every now and then, just because I've turned into my high schoolers. Yes, you got to change it up, right? Do you recommend starting out finger picking for a beginner or with a pick, sir? I recommend with a pick. It's easier. Then move on to finger picking. But you can do either. There's nothing wrong with starting with finger picking. I'm just saying. That's what I would recommend, which was your question. Okay, great. Great. If I missed your question from earlier, please cut and paste it or repeat it, okay? Tommy Emmanuel is a goat like Eric. I don't know what that means. All right. I appreciate the chalk on the sidewalk example. Being only 2.5 weeks. Oh my gosh. Well, that's great. You got a baby beginner. That's awesome. 315 was guitar purchase. Wow. Okay. Perfect. I've worked through a good portion of the beginner materials, but was growing more and more frustrated as I was feeling like I needed the next step, more structure. It's good to know it's okay to jump around the areas of most interest. Maybe the accountant in me, but the lack of defined steps is a big mental challenge. Yes, indeed. Do I prefer the slotted headstock? No, I do not. It is what it is. It's just I don't prefer or not prefer. It's just what comes on the guitar. So I don't necessarily. Okay, so for our friend here, right, who just got the guitar for Serve Blots, anybody else? Now, to just put it in the comments here, has anybody else gotten frustrated in the beginning at playing guitar? Just say yes or no. All right? I'm a predictor here. I'm going to say that 99%, 100% is going to say that they had a problem, right? It's frustrating in the beginning because it's a new language. Not only is it a new language, your fingers are doing things it's never done before, okay? So, greatest of all times. Gotcha. That's amazing. Thank you, Bakersburg. I appreciate that. To be compared with Tommy Emmanuel, that means either you don't know what you're talking about, or I'm better than I think I am, or something. No, I appreciate that. He's an amazing guitar player. Right, so look at this, right? Yes. Everybody, yes, many times. Everybody has had a problem with this. And so a reason I want you guys to say this is because, look, we're a community here. I've quit several times. Michigan Don has quit several times. 100%. It's like anything. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to the gym and then quit. Oh, I'm not seeing the result that I want. Maybe quitting will help. Maybe quitting will stack muscles on my... No, right? So it's like, if you're playing guitar and you're like, I suck. I'm just going to quit. Yeah, that'll make you better. No, just dig in and have fun. Bottom line, have fun with it. Keep that guitar in your hands all the time when you're playing, when you're watching TV, playing, noodle around. But bottom line, be involved with it too. You don't want to get with the guitar like I did growing up, to where I was always noodling with it, but sometimes I wasn't getting as intimate as I could with it. It'd be like having a loved one who you watch TV with and you eat with and stuff, but you never seriously talk to. Well, that wouldn't be good, right? David saying, regarding bar chord techniques, would you recommend locating the root note finger placement first, then placing the E-shaped finger secondary? That's the way I do it, David. That's the way I do it, and it's more just mentally. I don't even think I just grab the chord now, essentially, but I'm always thinking about where that bass note is, because that lets me know where I'm at, theoretically, Yes, suffer, skip ahead, look behind, and end up on the same spot. Indeed, it happens. I was self-taught years ago, overcoming bad habits, and it's frustrating. So many people are self-taught, and this is what happens, Russ, and so many people, 99% of the people out there do this. So you're in good company. you know, we want to learn, we want to save money, we want to do these things, you know, and sometimes, a lot of times, you learn things incorrectly. It's not even incorrectly, it's just not optimal, okay? It's like sculpting. Is there a right way to sculpt? Probably not, no. Some people would say there is, but you'd find somebody else who's a better sculptor than them breaking all the rules. I say the same thing. If I came out and I said, no, there's definitely a way to play guitar and this, that, and the other thing, well, some guitar player who will play circles around me will be breaking all the rules. So which guy's right? You know, same thing at the gym. If I'm saying, no, there's a proper way to lift weights, that guy over there is lifting them wrong. He's just buffed out, right? Well, in that case, yes, he could throw his back out or something like that. But when it comes to music, you know, there's certain techniques and stuff that are known to help, and then music theory is just music theory. That's just factual, right? It's just math. But when it comes to techniques and stuff like that, there's people that break rules all the time. So do not worry. You're not going to break anything, okay? Don't worry. And if you've got some bad habits, you know, you'll undevelop them. You'll develop new habits over them. Just don't ever look back at the old habits and just practice the only way, the new way, always. I do this thing where I brush my teeth with my left hand every morning, and I've been doing it now for a few months because I'm a righty. And I just do it. I just do it instinctively now, and I'm learning it's like it feels better. It feels easier now, right? Now I brush with my right hand. Obviously, I've done that for like 48 years, so like I know that pretty well, but I just practice that way because it helps the brain to learn something new, which helps build neural paths and stuff like that. Anytime you can challenge yourself like that, it's always good. What happens is, for whatever reason, we run away as beings. We run away from things that are difficult. Well, the things that are difficult are the things that are going to make you grow, not the things that are easy. You know, anybody can do those. They're the things that challenge you and they make you grow. Dig in and kind of challenge us, make a game out of it, you know? That's what I like to do. I like to say, can you wake up at 4 a.m. again? Can you do it again? You could sleep in, buddy. You could sleep in. No, I'm getting up. I'm going to work out. I'm going to do my gratitude. I'm going to do my yoga. I'm going to work. I'm going to play guitar. I'm going to, you know, and those are the days that are always awesome. If I decide to sleep in, like I did this last week when I was on vacation, I felt like crap. I really did. I felt like crap because I wasn't waking up at 4 a.m. and doing my stuff. And by the way, I'm a night owl, but not anymore. I like literally just changed it because I said I want to do this. All my heroes are guys and gals that wake up early and conquer the day and everything else. And I said that's what I want to do. So I want to be like that. So I got to do what they're doing, right? All right, do you string your own guitars? Yes, I do. If so, do you take all the strings off and then clean the fretboard, or do you replace one string at a time? I definitely don't do one string at a time. I take them all off. And do I clean the fretboard? Nah, no, I don't really. I condition it sometimes with like a light oil or what I call, there's something called guitar honey. Use that. It's a great product for fretboards. But no, sometimes I don't even do that. I just change the strings. But that's me. I tend to keep things real simple. Hi, yes, and I couldn't quite understand the capo part of the PDF regarding if you put the capo on the 3rd fret, what key we are in, and is that open or say playing a G chord and the open with the capo on the 3rd fret, what key is the G chord in? Not sure if that makes sense or not. Yeah, hi, yeah. So here, let me in a nutshell, I'll break that down. Let me grab a capo here. Sorry, I should have one sitting on my desk here, but I do not. Okay, so here's the deal. It's very, very simple. People complicate this, okay? So I promise you, if this seems too simple, you're getting it. If it seems really, really complicated, you're thinking too much. So empty your mind right now. Empty it. Super easy. First off, if you're in a key, it's because of all the chords and notes, right? That determines what the key is. So if that doesn't make sense to you, then this is gonna lose. You're gonna lose it here. Okay, so don't worry about it. But a key, you know, in the key of G, we got G, D, E minor, C, A minor, right? But if we use the capo, what we're essentially doing is tuning the guitar up. So if I put the capo on the 1st fret, I was in the key of G. Well, what is one note up from G? Does G have a sharp? Let me ask you that. That's a little hint. Does G have a sharp? Yes, right? So if I put this on the first fret and I play all the same chords, G, D, E minor, C, and A minor, well, I just moved it all up a half step, one fret. So now I'm in G sharp. So everything's in G sharp now. Now if I move it up again, G, G sharp, A, right? So now I'm going up a whole step or 2 half steps. So now I went G, G sharp, A. So now, think about this. This is an A note. Even though I'm playing a G chord, that's an A note. There's an A chord, right? It sounds the same except for the voicing. So there's my G, there's my D, there's my E minor, there's my C. But really it's not those chords because we're up one whole step. So we have to add one whole step up from each one of those. So a G becomes an A D becomes an E, a C becomes a D, an E minor becomes an F sharp minor, an A minor becomes a B minor, okay? But you and I, as guitar players, we just think G, D, E minor, C, and A minor. I mean, I do. I've been playing for 30-something years, and I still wouldn't be like, oh, that's an A, that's a... I have to think about that. But the way it looks and feels, that's why I say the feel of G, is because it feels like I'm in the key of G, but we're really not in the key of G. Because this could feel like we're in G all day long. 2 guitar players put their capo at the 2nd fret, and he's like, G, D minor, E minor, and they're playing along together. And then a bass player comes along, and he's like, you guys are not playing those chords. And then a keyboard player comes along, you're not playing those chords. Well, no, they're not, because they're talking guitar lingo. They've capoed. That'd be like a keyboard player coming along and electronically tuning his keyboard up and saying, well, I'm playing all the white keys, I'm in the key of C. No, you tuned your piano up, so it's definitely not in the key of C. If that doesn't make sense, Hiya, give me a more specific question, okay? Quitting smoking after 25 years. Congratulations, Carl. That's amazing. Was easier than learning guitar. Well, yeah, right? Because that's just a decision, right? I say just a decision. That's an amazing decision, Carl, and congratulations. It's a hard decision. It's like saying, I'm a night owl and I don't get up at 4 a.m. But it's a decision, and once you make the decision, and you go, well, geez, that wasn't really so bad. And in fact, it's pretty friggin' awesome. Then you continue to do that, right? And hopefully you can talk yourself into things like that. Like, well, it's going to make me healthier. It's going to make me be able to breathe better, live longer, live better, those sorts of things. And that's not lying. It's just looking at the things that are helping you, right? And I do the same thing with guitar, with practice and everything. I say, gosh, I've done a lot of teaching today, but I haven't got my practice in. Do I need to do that? Well, here's why. And I name the reasons why. That's very helpful. Okay, fun is the key. Indeed. Yep. Okay, if you get a bad instructor for the first time, you will quit. I did for 18 years. And G and I am so sorry. On behalf of guitar teachers all around the world, I apologize, because when I hear this all the time, I heard it today. One of my students, I don't know, it was on Facebook or where, they said that or it was in UGS, but one of my students said that they were in a class and the instructor said, you'll never learn how to play guitar. And now he's in the Unstoppable Guitar System and he's learning great. He's having a great time. So who was wrong? Well, of course, the idiot who said you can't play guitar. I've never in my life met somebody who couldn't play guitar. I've met lazy people. I've had lazy students who, after 3 years, were still practicing the same song with me. And I went to their parents and said, look, you spent thousands of dollars for this kid to learn Iron Man, and he sucks because he doesn't practice. And then he went to learn violin, and he sucked at that too because he didn't practice. It has everything to do with practicing, right? But there's people that have a desire to play, and there's people that don't have the desire. And oddly enough, the people that have the desire to play get good at it. The people that don't get good at it. Weird, right? So if you can increase that desire, it's going to just make you a better player. Not just because of the desire, but because you're going to pick it up more. You're going to be finding different ways to practice and do different things, okay? Yeah, zero fun. Rubber toe. My first instructor when I was 9 was terrible. Zero fun. It set me back, but I overcame that later. I know it sucks. It makes me mad. But it makes me want to kick them right in the junk because it's just not cool, especially for a kid, man. It's like a kid. You should be like infusing them with all your education and your you know, stick-to-itiveness and your motivation and everything, because the kid needs that, right? And that makes me so mad when I hear about that, you know? Thank you, Michael. That's real kind of you. Fortunate to find Eric. Thank you. Okay, yeah. Yo, Eric, I'm not too far I am far too of an analytical person, which I think has caused me, which by the way I am too sometimes, has caused me to not feel the notes when playing the guitar. I've tried to let go of my ways, and when I hear melodies in my head and popular melodies such as the Star Wars theme or songs like Eric Clapton's Wonderful Tonight, I am having fun trying to figure them out on the guitar. My slight knowledge of pentatonic scales has helped me. Man, right? Pentatonic is where it's at. Is there a few things you could suggest or just comments in general? I almost think sometimes learning. I don't know if you meant to finish that, if that was it. But Dusty Rose, yes. Indeed. You have nailed it right on the head. It's about just having fun. When I was a kid, I would listen to Ennio Morricone. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but like he did all the like A Fistful of Dollars and Good and Bad and the Ugly, Ecstasy of Gold, like all these movies, these spaghetti westerns, right, where they're doing those kind of like real old style guitar type sounds. Those sorts of things, and I fell in love with that sound immediately, that kind of cowboy type sound, and so that's what got me involved, and I just listened and I tweaked and and who guitar probably wasn't even in tune, so who knows, I probably wasn't even playing in the right place, but it doesn't matter because you're learning. So my suggestions, Dusty, would be just to honestly, let's make it simple, is to find more songs that you love and just practice them. And that pentatonic scale, these little patterns, you're going to see are going to help you to figure this stuff out a lot easier, okay? So just find more stuff to learn and keep your head in the game, okay? T Memphis, hey, Master Sage, I've been messing with the blues and watching your minimalistic blues series. Great, but realize I don't know the vocabulary, aka licks and riffs. Licks is just this. A riff is... That's all it is, okay? It's the same thing. It just means a phrase. It's just like something you would say, you know? Those are all licks, okay, or phrases. Enough to sync up what is going on in my head. What's the best order in the UGS that can help me switch gears so that it'll click? Thanks for all you do, man. We can. You're putting your heart into it. Love the new set. Just awesome. Thank you so much. So keep practicing the minimalistic blues. That's where it's at. It really is. Just watch one video. And if you don't get it, watch it again, watch it again, watch it again. It will happen, okay? And then do some call and response. That's the other section I want you to work with, okay? Because more than anything, what I want you to hear is, okay, he played 3 notes and this is kind of the rhythm. If you mess up, it's totally okay. It's still a phrase. It's not a wrong phrase. Just like sculpting or painting, that's why Picasso and all these different artists, Escher, was he an artist? Yeah, he was, yeah. All these different guys were, Monet, it's like completely different, but they were all artists. So don't be afraid to mess up, but watch those videos. Minimalistic blues is really important, and also the call and response, okay? Great questions, by the way. Make sure you put those question marks too, guys. How tight do you set an adjustable capo? Just right. No, I'm joking. So here's the deal. So just right. That is the answer. But what you do is this. What I'll do is I'll put it on. I'll try to make it as light as possible. Because with an adjustable capo, the cool thing about it is it doesn't press the strings down too hard to put them out of tune, right? So what I do is I adjust it to where you get a feel after a while, especially like with a shub capo, because you can actually feel it as you clamp it down. And so I try to make it as light as possible without buzzing strings. If I strum and there's buzzing, then I tighten it, I undo it, tighten it down a little bit more, do it again. And if that's right, then great. If it needs more tightening, I do it again. And so after a while, you'll get quick at that. Okay? Great. Singing along with your playing is a good way to train yourself to sing on pitch. Indeed. Yep. And everybody can sing. Did you hear me? Everyone can sing. If you can talk, you can sing. Because it's impossible unless you have voice modulation, whatever that was that Will Ferrell had on SNL, and he would talk like this, and he would just keep his voice in one single note all the time, and it got really annoying. If you talk like that, then yes, you can't sing. But if you're talking like I am, where when you ask a question, you say, hey, do you think we can go to the movies tonight? Or, where there's a little thing at the end, or in any sort of tone whatsoever, you're using notes. Those are notes, okay? Those are notes. Those are notes, right? These are notes that we're singing. You're just not extending them. If I was extending them, then all of a sudden I would start singing. And that's all it is. We're extending notes, okay? So when you're talking, you're singing. And in fact, a good vocal coach will actually teach you vocal, or what they call what it's called. What is it called? It's called voice. I don't know. It has something to do with speaking, like speaking-based singing or something like that. I forgot the name of it. But nonetheless, it's really important that you understand that, because there's a lot of people that would love to sing, okay? And they think they can't. Well, you might not today, just like you couldn't play guitar at first. For real. Michael, what's up, my friend? Michael, I went to school with a Michael Soretto. I sure did. And Melbourne Central Catholic back in the day. So how cool is that? Wendell Stye from 1 is saying, I've been playing with alternate tunings, Keith Richards Stones, Open G. Are leads playing in same tunings, Ron Wood's part? I don't know the answer to that. I know that Keith Richards loved some open tunings, some alternate tunings. And yeah, he did some great stuff with G. But I've never heard that Ron Wood did. I haven't heard that he didn't, but I've never heard that he did. And there's two guitar players can be doing totally different tunings. It doesn't matter as long as the pitch is the same. Does that make sense? So like you can't have, between C and C sharp, or one note and the next, there's 100 cents. You can think about it like $1. Between one fret and the next, that's $1. But there's 100 cents, and that's what they call them, cents. And so those have to be on pitch. So that's when we call A440. We're talking about 440 cycles per second. So if one guy's tuned into A440 and then the girl in the band is tuned into A445, they're not going to sound good, okay? They both need to be tuned to A440. Now, they can be alternate tunings. Tune the guitar however you want. You got to know where the chords are so you guys can match. But as long as you're tuned to A440, everything's cool. But I don't think, my guess would be Ron did not. Eric, what's the guitar you're using tonight? Don, this is the B&G Little Sister, and I did it's called the Crossroads Little Sister, I believe. And I did a review for this, and it's a fantastic guitar. I love it. Tiny, as you can see. The acoustic I have is a Mitchell, and the body is huge. I can barely get my arm around it. Yeah, well, you probably have a jumbo, would be my guess, a jumbo body. Bakersburg, man, Eric, see, this is why you are great. Your enthusiasm is contagious. I learn a lot from your videos, but man, you get me pumped to play. That's where the money is at. I'm sure this is true for others who follow you. Ah, thank you, Bakersburg. I really, really do truly appreciate that. That means so much to me. You know, we all are looking for a purpose in our lives, and won't try not to get too deep. I'll keep it on guitar, but we're all looking for a purpose in our lives, and sometimes I question, what am I doing? Am I doing what I should be doing? I don't necessarily think there is, you know, one particular thing that we're called to do per se, but I think there's one or two things that we're probably really good at, and I've always loved to show people how to do things on the guitar. I don't know why. I love playing live and stuff like that too, but I just always love sitting down with somebody and showing them something and them going, oh man, that's so cool. Like I wanted to know how to do that, and then showing them. So thank you so much. That means a lot to me, really. So Tom, how do you put vibrato into your singing, into your voice when singing? Tom, I used to have a problem with this too. And it's just, you know, some people will, it's like a volume thing, but other people it's a pitch thing. So a way to practice it is you could go so what you're doing is you're like going but instead of right, you're it's not on off, it's more like light dim, right? Bright dim. So it's like so you can practice that. It's going to feel awkward at first because so for some people that comes a little bit more natural than others because it's a vocal, because they're practicing and maybe while they're in the shower or something they're working on it, so it may seem very natural, but they're practicing it at some point, you know. You can kind of do pitch a little bit, but that's, you know, if you're like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. It's kind of like a pulse. If I'm being extreme, that's what I'm doing. So you just kind of want to shave the ends off so it's not like on-off. It's more like bright, dim. Thank you for your great attitude and instruction. These webcasts always get me on point and center. Yay. How do you like the B&G Little Sister? I'm trying to decide which guitars to sell to buy one. Laugh out loud. Does B&G offer a military discount? I don't know if they do, Strat 68. But here's the deal. I love this guitar because I don't have anything that plays like this. With that said, it's not my go-to guitar. My go-to guitar is either my Strat, my 65 Strat, my Les Paul. Those are my two go-to guitars. I just constantly am playing those. I love my SG, my Gibson SG, and my acoustic guitar. Those are probably my top four guitars, my Gibson SG200. But other than that, I just love this because none of my other guitars sound like this one, and it's a beautiful guitar with the F holes and the gold hardware and stuff like that. It's got the stink on it, and it's cool. I love it, you know. But would I recommend it? It just depends. I would watch some other videos other than just mine because there's some guys that are some really great players that really pull some neat sounds out of this thing. But you know, it can rock out. You know, if you wanna get, you know, dirty it up a bit. So to rock out there, it can even get a little heavier than that. And then get nice and clean too, you know. So yeah, it's a nice one. I love it. I love it. Do you think metronomes are necessary for beginners? No, I do not. Have fun. get into metronomes when you start becoming a better player and you need to work on your timing. Bakersburg, going to sleep. All right, my friend. Yeah, I know. A nightly walk with the wife. Nice. Happy marriage. Well, we're getting ready to end it here in just a minute, Bakersburg, because I, too, my wife's a songwriter for Disney, and she's getting on the phone with Disney here in just a few minutes, and I need to head out here in just a minute because they are going to be talking about a new movie that's coming out, and they would like her to write for that movie. Pretty cool stuff, right? I have a challenge problem. My son is 11. We practice about the same amount of time. He's getting better than me. Please help. What do I do? What should I do? You need to practice more than your son because he's 11 and because they get stuff quicker. So you need to practice more than your son. Bottom line. They just get stuff quicker. They do. I was telling a coworker, not always, but usually. I was telling a coworker how you make it easy to understand things that I previously had a hard time getting my arms around. He said they have a word for guys like that. They call them teachers. That's great. Exactly. They call them teachers. Yeah, that's what it's about, right? But there's bad teachers too. But yes, indeed. They're called teachers. When fingerpicking chords such as C major, which when strummed is a 5-string, which string should be struck when fingerpicking? Is there some rule or technique on when strings best played and in what specific order? David Dube said. So David, yes, I do talk about this in the fingerpicking section. In fact, I talk about it in video 1. And it works like this. If we're playing a C major chord, we're going to pick the 5th string. Right? And because we're not going to pick the 6th string unless we're putting like a different bass note in there. Otherwise, if it's a 3-string or 4-string chord like a D major, then we're going to practice the top 4 strings. So yes, but yeah, watch that beginner video of fingerpicking. That will help out a ton, my friend. All right, let's get any last questions in, my friend, because I want to make sure that you get your questions answered, and I felt like there was some in the beginning, and I want to make sure that those are answered. Thanks for being such a great guy, Eric. Oh, I wish you would bring out the UGS T-shirts again. I'm pretty sure Jason's in the room still. If he's not, then I will mention to him that we got we're always getting requests for the T-shirts. So thank you for requesting that, Marty, and I would like to see them out there again too. So let's do that, right? Fantastic. I'd buy some gear. Good webinar. Many questions. Got to go later. All right, my friends. It looks like some folks are falling off already here. So let's call it. Unless you got a last question, I'm going to be looking here until we go out here. Okay. I'll be making sure that I get your questions. But you know that this is my favorite time. I love this nice small group where we can really get intimate and I can get these questions. It's like my little fireside chat and I love it. And you guys have the best questions and the most dedicated ones here. I just love it. So you guys are dedicated. You're asking great questions. A few things I want to leave you with is, look, man, you literally can do anything. God, if I could just instill this in you, you can do absolutely anything that you want on this instrument. I know we're all, we got families and kids and wives and husbands and this, that, and the other thing, and jobs and bills and everything else. And it pulls us away from those things. I do understand that, right? But I promise you that you still have unstoppable, unlimited capabilities at everything that you do, but the guitar specifically was what we're talking about here. You can do anything that you want to do. You got to have the knowledge, then you got to practice those bits and pieces. So I want you guys to know that you really honestly can do anything that you want. I'm in the program all the time, so if you have questions, leave those questions there and I will get them to you. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the kind words. I'm going to scan up real quick, just make sure there's no last questions because you guys are being so kind here at the end here. Thank you so much. And yes, I'm going to go do that phone call, or my wife is right now, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much. Oh, by the way, this will be recorded and will be inside the program probably in the next day or so. Awesome. All right, y'all. See ya.